Madeline Carter, 33, was an art teacher who saw beauty in everything. From the morning sunlight on her window to the way her husband, William, 35, smiled when he returned from work. They lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood, surrounded by blooming gardens and friendly neighbors. Their life together seemed picture-perfect. Every Sunday, they'd have breakfast on the porch, pancakes, coffee, and laughter. Madeline would sketch while William read the paper, their quiet moments woven with love and trust. To their friends, they were the couple everyone admired, calm, caring, and deeply connected. Madeline often told her students, "Love is the art of patience," and she truly believed it. But sometimes, even the most beautiful paintings hide cracks beneath the surface. And soon, Madeline would discover that love, the one thing she thought she understood, was about to test her heart in ways she never imagined. Life between Madeline and William flowed like a calm river, steady, familiar, full of small, quiet joys. Every morning, she'd pack his lunch while humming softly, and he'd kiss her forehead before leaving for work. Their evenings were a gentle routine, cooking dinner together, clinking glasses of wine, talking about their dreams. Madeline often painted while William worked late on architectural sketches beside her. They didn't need grand gestures. Their love lived in the simple things. Every Friday night, they watched old movies and laughed at the same jokes. On weekends, they drove out to the countryside, chasing sunsets and imagining the house they'd someday build together. On their 8th wedding anniversary, William gave her a bouquet of white lilies and whispered, "To forever." But slowly, forever began to feel uncertain. William started coming home later, his eyes tired and distant. He became distracted during dinner, his phone lighting up with messages he didn't explain. When Madeline asked if something was wrong, he smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "It's just a big project," he said. "I'll be fine." Madeline tried to believe him, tried to silence the quiet ache in her chest. But one evening, as rain tapped gently on the windows, William didn't come home at all. And that was the first time Madeline felt fear. Not the kind that screams, but the kind that whispers, "Something has changed." The unease that had been quietly building finally began to eat away at Madeline's peace. William's laughter, once warm and effortless, had turned rare. His phone, once left carelessly on the kitchen counter, was now always face down. Whenever it buzzed, he'd glance at it quickly, his expression unreadable. Madeline tried to convince herself that it was just work. But the longer the silence between them stretched, the louder her thoughts became. One rainy evening, William came home late again. He mumbled something about a client dinner, and went straight to take a shower. Madeline sat at the edge of the couch, her chest tight. Then her eyes fell on his phone, unlocked, glowing faintly on the table. Her hand moved before her conscience could stop it. One message caught her eye. From a woman named Claire. "Thank you for tonight. I don't know what I'd do without you." Madeline's heart pounded. Her throat tightened as she scrolled, messages filled with concern, care, and emotion. Was this the woman who had taken her place? When William came out of the shower, towel over his shoulders, she was waiting. Her voice trembled, half fury, half heartbreak. "Who is Claire?" He froze, eyes wide. "Madeline. Please, it's not what you think." "Oh, really?" she snapped. "Because it looks exactly like what I think. You're lying, Will. You disappear for hours, you don't talk to me anymore, and now there's this." He took a step forward, voice low and pleading. "She's just—" "Don't," she interrupted, her voice cracking. "Don't lie to me again." The silence that followed was deafening. William's shoulders dropped. His lips parted, as if he wanted to explain, but the words never came. "Maybe it's better if I go," he whispered. Madeline's eyes burned. "Then go." The door closed softly behind him. And in that quiet moment, her anger dissolved into grief. She fell to her knees, the phone still glowing in her hand, her tears falling fast and hot. That night, she sat alone in the dark, surrounded by shadows and questions. She thought she had lost her husband to another woman. But in truth, she had only lost him to a misunderstanding that neither of them had the strength to face. Weeks passed, heavy and hollow. The house that once echoed with laughter now felt like a museum of regrets. Madeline went through her days like a ghost, teaching her art classes, pretending to smile, pretending to live. But every night, she stared at her phone, waiting for a message that never came. Then, one grey afternoon at the local market, fate intervened. She was reaching for a loaf of bread when she heard a familiar name. "Ethan, hold Mommy's hand," a woman said softly. Madeline turned, and froze. It was Claire. Her pulse quickened, fury and pain crashing together. Before she could think, the words erupted. "You," she spat. "You're the reason my husband left." Claire blinked, startled. "I'm sorry, what?" "Don't pretend," Madeline hissed. "I saw your messages. I know what you did." For a moment, Claire looked confused. Then her expression softened, not defensive but deeply sad. "Madeline," she whispered, "you don't understand." "Don't you tell me I don't understand." Madeline's voice trembled. "He lied to me, hid things from me, and it was all because of you." Tears filled Claire's eyes. She took a shaky breath. "William wasn't having an affair," she said gently. "He was helping me." Madeline frowned. "Helping you? With what?" Claire swallowed hard. "My husband died 2 years ago. Our son, Ethan, has a serious heart condition. The treatments were expensive, and William, he paid for them. All of it." Madeline's mouth went dry. "No, that can't be true." Claire nodded, crying now. "He sold his car. He worked weekends. He told me not to tell anyone, especially you. He said you'd worry, that you already carried enough on your shoulders." The world around Madeline seemed to blur. The noise of the market faded into nothing. Every late night, every silence, every strange look, it all made sense now. Her husband hadn't betrayed her. He had sacrificed for someone else, quietly, selflessly, completely. Claire reached out, touching her arm softly. "He loved you so much, Madeline. He said everything he did was to protect your peace." Madeline couldn't speak. Her chest tightened as guilt flooded through her. The man she had accused of betrayal had only ever been guilty of love. And for the first time since he'd left, she wished more than anything for one more chance, just to say she was sorry. Madeline dialed William's number over and over, her hands trembling so hard she could barely hold the phone. "Please, Will, pick up," she whispered. Every call went to voicemail, that familiar tone now cutting like a knife. Hours turned into a sleepless night. By morning, she was pacing the living room, eyes swollen from tears. Then the phone finally rang. "Mrs. Carter," a man's voice said. "This is St. Mary's Hospital. Your husband was in a car accident." Her body froze. The world tilted. Moments later, she was in a taxi, praying, begging, bargaining. "I just need him to live," she whispered. "Please, let me say I'm sorry." When she reached the hospital, William lay motionless on the bed, pale, fragile, but still hers. Machines hummed softly beside him, each beep echoing her heartbeat. She took his cold hand in hers. "Will, it's me," she said, voice shaking. "I was wrong. I should have trusted you. You never betrayed me, I betrayed us. Please, wake up." His eyelids fluttered. Slowly, he turned his head toward her. "Madeline," he whispered, his voice weak but warm. "I didn't want you to know. I just wanted to help someone. To do something good." Tears streamed down her cheeks. "You did, Will. You did so much good." He smiled faintly. "I just wanted you to love me, for who I am." Then, his hand slipped from hers. The heart monitor gave a single, steady tone. And just like that, the man who had loved quietly, who had lived selflessly, was gone. Madeline fell to her knees beside him, her cries filling the sterile room. It was the sound of love, arriving too late. The days after William's death blended into one long gray season. Madeline moved through life like a ghost, breathing, but not truly living. His clothes still hung in the closet. His favorite mug still sat by the window. Every corner of the house whispered his name. Then, one rainy morning, while sorting through his things, she found a folded letter tucked inside the pocket of his old jacket. Her heart pounded as she unfolded the paper. It was his handwriting, steady and familiar. My love. If you're reading this, it means life had other plans for us. I want you to know, love means believing, even when you don't understand. Don't let guilt steal the colors from your world. Paint again. Live again. And when you smile, I'll be there, in every color you choose. Madeline pressed the letter to her chest and cried, but this time, the tears didn't burn, they healed. Weeks later, she picked up her paintbrush for the first time in months. The canvas before her stayed blank for a while, then slowly filled with gentle strokes of light, a sunrise over calm water. It wasn't just art anymore, it was forgiveness taking shape. She began visiting Claire and her son Ethan, who had fully recovered after his surgery. Ethan ran to her each time, calling out, "Aunt Maddie," and wrapping his small arms around her legs. In his laughter, she heard echoes of the kindness William had left behind. Through helping them, she found a reason to wake up each morning. She donated some of her paintings to the hospital that had cared for William, each signed with a single phrase hidden in the paint, "Believe in love." The grief never vanished, it simply changed form. Some days, she still missed his voice, his quiet humor, the way he'd hum while cooking. But instead of breaking her, those memories began to build her again. Madeline realized that love doesn't end with loss. It continues, in art, in kindness, in the lives touched by one gentle heart. And every time she finished a painting, she'd smile softly and whisper, "This one's for you, Will." Years later, Madeline stood in a bright art gallery, her art now known across the city. The walls were filled with color, blues of forgiveness, reds of memory, golds of hope. Visitors admired her work, not knowing that each canvas held a fragment of her heart. At the center of the gallery stood her most powerful piece, a painting of a man's shadow holding a child's hand beneath a golden evening sky. Its title read, "The Heart I Misunderstood." When a young journalist approached her and asked, "What does it mean?" Madeline paused, eyes soft with remembrance. "It's about someone who loved deeply, but in silence. Someone who taught me that real love isn't about grand words, but quiet sacrifices we often fail to see." The crowd around her listened quietly. She continued, "Trust is fragile, but love built on truth never dies. Sometimes, what we mistake for betrayal is actually an act of devotion. And sometimes by the time we understand it's too late, but love still finds a way to live on." After the gallery closed, Madeline stood before the painting one last time, tracing the outline of the shadowed man with her fingertips. "I understand now, Will," she whispered. A tear slid down her cheek, not of sorrow but of peace. Outside, the evening sun dipped low, casting golden light through the glass. It fell softly on her face, warm and forgiving, as if love itself had returned to say goodbye. What would you do if you discovered your partner wasn't lying, just protecting you? If you liked this story, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more emotional English stories.